Joining us. It is late for us here in the U.S., but we're really happy to be able to provide this overview for a time frame that works for those more in Asia and Australia. So my name's John Wells. For those who don't know me, I'll introduce myself and a little bit of my background. So I am one of the two managers of the Gateway Directory project. I have been in education abroad now for about 35 years, working at the government level, working at the provider level, working at the institution level. So I have seen study abroad from a lot of different sides. My primary gig right now is I actually work for the University of St. Andrews, representing them for admissions in North America. But I'd also like to introduce Heidi. Heidi's the director for this project.
Nice to meet all of you. Thank you both for joining us, and we might have a few more that join, which will be terrific. As John mentioned, I'm Heidi Sonneson. I was at the University of Minnesota for almost 27 years, and then Assistant Vice Chancellor at the University of Wisconsin River Falls. Now I'm doing various gateway projects, and one of them is this directory, and it's very exciting. We've had a number of providers and institutions tell us that this is something they were hoping would occur, is that it would bring together the opportunity for overseas providers and organizations and institutions to be able to be visible for U.S. education abroad providers and faculty who are looking for a partner. So we're just delighted that you're interested.
Yeah, so the genesis of this project was really looking at how do U.S. institutions find partners when they're looking to run a faculty-directed, a semester-length program, if they're looking for broader partnerships abroad, what are they going to use? And I think a lot of us who've worked in the field for a while have tried using some of the existing directories for this purpose. So be it studyabroad.com, Go Abroad, any of those kind of directories. None of them quite fit the bill, though. A couple of issues with it. From the user standpoint, they're really directed at individual students. All the search features are focused on what students are looking for and not what institutions are looking for. I know from an institutional perspective as well, from a provider perspective, found it extremely time consuming to maintain those directories. Those directories are all based on individual programs. So an organization that might have 20 or 30 programs might find it pretty overwhelming. And not to mention organizations with 60, 70, 80 programs. Pretty overwhelming to maintain all of those different profiles, all of that different information. So in building up and thinking about this directory, really what we had in mind was the first one that was kind of, to use more of a corporate phrase, a business to business directory, rather than being a business to consumer directory. So our idea is really to create a directory that other institutions and organizations, study abroad advisors, directors, faculty members, those involved in high school or volunteer or internship, I mean, all kinds of different areas, can use to find potential partners abroad. So when they're looking for who runs a program in Barbados, where can we do something, who operates in Fiji or New Zealand, who can I work for? I think for a long time, those of us in the field were used to using SecuCell for that as well. But I think about some of our younger colleagues, and using a listserv at this point of the field may not be the most practical thing. A lot of us for a long time used our own personal networks too. The reality is, post-COVID, the field has changed a lot. Those networks have changed a lot. So how can you get in front of advisors, get in front of faculty members, to make your program, to make your institution a little bit more known, and to be able to highlight the right things. So that's really the genesis of the Gateway Directory. I'm going to go over a few of the basics of it, show you a little bit about the directory, how it operates, how easy it is to list on the directory, and basic profiles are free on the directory. So standard profile, you can put your organization on, all of your locations, list key features, what kind of student audience are you looking for, all of those kind of things are always going to be free on the directory. We do have a featured profile option as well for those organizations who want priority placement on the page, live web link to your website. I think some of the most important aspects of it is you will also be able to post, and I'll show this, events and updates, highlights of your program, but announcements too. If you've changed, if you've added new staff, if you're introducing a new program, you can use announcements to do those. Some of those things now that a lot of people use Sakucell for, we're seeing this directory as another source for those kind of things. Featured profiles will have an annual fee of $550, but for those who register before August 15th, 2023, that will be a 50% discount. Those who go after August 15th, but before, I can never remember, Heidi, if it's
January
November
1.
15th. January 1, thank you. That's easy to remember. I just can't. It'll be 400, and then it will go to full price. So looking at, let me take you on a little bit of a tour about it, and you'll see the directory here. It's actually meant to be really simple for individuals to search, not cluttered with a lot of advertisements from outside organizations. We will permit ads. So scrolling through this, it has a search and explore providers. It has an opportunity, as we said, to list events, to make announcements about programs. For featured providers, they will be able to put a rotating banner of featured programs on the site, and we will allow ads from affiliated, study abroad affiliated, education abroad affiliated organizations. So think about insurance companies, software providers, maybe visa services, those kinds of organizations. If you're not affiliated with education abroad in some way, we're not going to put your ad on here. We're not going to put Google AdWords type things on here. So we want it to be really focused, really simple on what professionals in the field need to be able to find, need to be able to see. So to give you just a really brief idea of what it looks like then from a functional standpoint, from the user perspective, simple categories to search for. So country, whoops, kind of jumped on me fast there. So countries, you can choose up to 5. It is actually an and function. So those looking for programs in multiple countries can search for ones that might do both Australia and New Zealand, for example. So you have to scroll through. You can also start typing it in and it'll come up faster that way. So if I wanted to figure out, I want to run a program for 4 weeks to Australia and New Zealand, who can I work with? Right now, we only have one. We don't have that many. We only have about 15 providers listed. And I might say, okay, well, I want to see a few more on that. So Australia, if I hit the search again, now I come up with a few more providers on that. Right now, those countries, we do not have a featured provider for that. And I do want to remind you that this is actually still in the developmental phase. We're not live yet, so we are still in the point of reaching out to organizations. But for example, if I search for Argentina, then I'm going to see some featured providers listed. So Abradia, Arcos are both featured providers. Featured providers have a little bit more information on there. So you'll see their country of operation, you'll see their contact, you'll see the About Us. And if you hit the More Info button, You're going to see even more information about the types of experiences, their health and safety, US accreditation, what's new about them, school of record information. So a lot more information. Non-featured providers get less information on there. You'll see just the basic providers. They'll have their website on, but you have to cut and paste to get to it. So yes, they have a little bit more on more info, but not as much as the featured providers. Featured providers also can put a video on. So you'll see that both Arcos and Abradia have a video linked to their site. But it's not only by country that you can search. So if you want to search by target audience and say you want to, you offer gap year programs and you're searching for somebody who does that, then up come all of the organizations who can offer a gap year who are listed on us, on the site right now. They do appear in alphabetical order, with the featured programs appearing first, and then you'll go to non-featured programs after that. So a lot of functionality around what you can search for, easy to do a new search. One of the nice features is that if a user registers with us, they can actually save their search. So I am not registered right now, but registered users, and obviously we want to encourage study education abroad professionals to register on this site. One of the benefits they have by doing that is they can save providers, they can save a PDF of the search they've done, reach out to those organizations and ask for an RFP at that point, for example. So that's basically the search functionality that we have. As I said, we also have an events calendar. Right now, not a lot on there because we're still adding organizations, and most of our organizations haven't even put events on yet since we're not live. But a good opportunity to list if you're hosting a site visit, if you're going to be holding a webinar, if you're going to be attending a conference. These are the kinds of things we envision featured organizations being able to put on events. Announcements are not specifically constrained by time. So that will be somebody who, hey, we've got a new staff member, we have a new program option, we have a new location. That's your opportunity to really profile a specific program. We also know that we want to drive people to this site for more than just whenever they want to add a new program, which might be once or twice a year. So we are building out resources. Right now, we have a brief history of education abroad providers, for example, on there, produced by Gateway. So we have that feature as well. We also believe that events and announcements will drive people towards this site. So as a provider then, how do you log in? How do you create a site? So it is simply just registering. You can register as a provider, a user, or an advertiser. Providers, it's a fairly simple registration process. Hit the button, hit continue. Here's the basic information that we want to create your own account. Really straightforward. Company, your name, agree, and then you can create your account. To give you an idea what that looks like then, once your account is created, I have my dummy organization on here. So my provider profile, organization name, registered business address, legal business name, country of operation, phone number, year established, countries of operation. That's about all that's actually required for this. And this is for an entire organization, not by individual program or anything. We do realize that then, for example, maybe you offer internships in Brisbane, but not in Sydney. You're going to list internship, somebody searching for internships in Sydney, you would come up. In the search still, they would have to refer back to your website, find out, oh, no, They don't offer that service in Sydney. So what we're trying to do is find that balance, make it easy for you to maintain this site versus some of the other sites which require you to create a different profile for Brisbane, Sydney, every place else you operate. So what we're looking for, most of these fields are not required to be completed, but the more you fill out, the better chance you have of coming up in searches. So important things like fields of study, who's your target audience, who are you trying to reach, what types of programs are available, the types of housing, that's one that typically never appears when it comes to the existing directory sites. But we know, as two people who've worked as study abroad professionals for most of their careers, that often advisors, education abroad professionals, faculty members are searching for a specific type of housing. Recognition of learning. So what kind of transcript, what kind of grade report are students going to get? That matters to institutions when they're looking for partners. US accreditation, same kind of way. And then from the start, that's basically the information that appears on a basic profile. So that's the information that will appear on free profile. From the start, though, we ask you for the additional information around what you might want listed if you take out a featured profile. You can save that from the start, easy to go on after you've created it. I've already created this one. I can go on and make any of these changes myself. It probably only takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes to create a basic profile on here. So a very straightforward, easy process to do. List the provider plans. Right now, I'm just a basic. There you have the opportunity to switch to a featured provider. Once you are a featured provider, then you can go in here and add events, and it will say I can't because I'm not paid, but you can add events, you can add announcements, you can add, and you saw on the listing page, those little ads on the bottom for featured programs. This gives you the ability to go on and create a featured program as well. Those, once we have more providers that are featured, will be rotating ones. So we don't guarantee your banner is going to show up every time. It's going to rotate through on key pages. So both on the home page and on the search page. So that's a really quick overview of the system. Really straightforward, as I said, easy to create, maintain a profile page. We will be rolling this out. We hope to launch in September. We will be using Gateway's contacts. For those who are not familiar with Gateway, it is a group of study abroad, education abroad professionals. I shouldn't just say education abroad, international ed professionals who work on a variety of different projects, support US institutions that may have staffing needs, searches, but average probably of most Gateway affiliates, and both Heidi and I are Gateway affiliates, most of us bring 20 or more years of experience in the field. So when we're ready to announce, we're going to use that network. We're going to use Sekusel and some of the other things to announce it as well. But Gateway actually just today put it in their monthly newsletter that this was coming out. So we've started ramping up and expect to have this. We want to roll it out and hope to have at least 100 organizations at that time listed on there at the time we will go live. So I'm happy. There aren't many of you on this evening, so I'm happy to answer any questions. If you want to unmute or use the chat for that. Heidi, have there any come through? I've not been looking at that.
I have not seen anything. Nope. I think we have a very attentive group.
So any questions for us?